Hey Virgos, welcome and welcome back to the Honey Sea Star Tarot. So let's see what's coming towards us. Now before we get started, I do just want to say thank you guys to each and every one of you for all the ways that you support this channel. Truly, you make me feel so blessed and each one of you makes the difference. And I love you back. So coming into this message, Spirit, help guide us. What messages do you need us to hear the most at this time? Thank you. Okay, so looking at the place oracles, we pulled quite a bit. What I see right off the bat is that some of us could be doing a lot of healthy habit changes. You could be really focusing on your body, focusing on developing new routines, dropping things that no longer serve you. So looking at your eating habits, really challenging your body physically so that it can grow and you can challenge yourself mentally, intuitively. You know, in a lot of ways, what I see is that your hard work is paying off. This is the time where you're really starting to see those results. But what I also see as well is you're making those changes focused on your home front as well. This is really about cultivation, about agriculture, things that you can do to really develop your resources around you. And really, basically, the seeds that you sow are really meant to bring you the garden that leads to prosperity. And what I see in a lot of ways is that this prosperity leads to your grazing grounds. This is a place and an area that really leads to a sense of tranquility and also vastness. But what I get most of all when it comes to the grassland card is that it's encouraging us to really take that longer perspective when it comes to planning. It's, the saying that comes to mind really is the seeds that you water with love grow. This is about looking at things for the short term as well as the long term and appreciating with each change of season, with each hill, with each stepping stone in the growth pattern leads to successional success. But it requires that foresight of planning where you're looking further down the road, not just what's right in front of you. That's truly where your blessings are coming. And like I say, in particular, not only when it comes to the body, and the healthy choices in what you're really being conscientious of challenging your body so that you can grow, right? So that you can improve, so that you can really be at the most efficient and healthiest state to manifest both mentally and physically, but also too to manifest within the agriculture. What seeds you plant and water grow, and it grows into receiving your flowers. And if that resonates, by all means, put a heart in the comments below. Now with the tarot coming in, just kind of looking at things, Spirit, help guide us, especially as we start watering watering the seeds that we sow, I should say. Especially as we walk into spring. I'm just going to move these here too. What seeds do you want us to water and focus on? And so what I see in a lot of ways with the Four of Pentacles right away, it's got a Neptune envisionment of your foundation. You're also utilizing the strength of the sun as well as that sacral chakra here as well. But this is about the Midas touch. What you touch turns to gold, basically. And it's because you've got the fortuity that leads you to look ahead, as well as the discipline to keep going and to hoard. Not necessarily hoard, that's the wrong word, but what I put in it to save, basically. To utilize your resources, but also to spend wisely. To utilize your resources wisely as well. Thank you. That flew out a lot. And then with the Ace of Pentacles, this is about prosperity. Again, it's got a lot to do with your financial aspects. Focus on the sacral as well as the root chakra. But this also speaks to new beginning. But what I'm getting most out of it is that, it comes to mind or brings to mind the Serenity Prayer. The power and holding the power of what you cultivate in your hands, controlling what you can and letting the things that you can't go. But this is all about the focus on your wealth and your security as well as meeting challenges. This is about holding that strength, particularly when it comes to the diligence in your work. Again, with that sun strength here as well. And then it speaks to the strength in the strength card as well. Also, you could be dealing or really embracing that Leo energy and embracing that 8, that infinity in what you manifest. But this really is about your diligence when it comes to your craft, when it comes to the seeds that you sow. This is making sure that you're caring for them, cultivating them, nourishing them along the way. And as you can see with the Page of Pentacles, don't ask, Page of Cups, I should say, rather, it really speaks to the emotion and following your intuition. This is about cultivating things that you may not necessarily know the whole lot about, but you're learning as you go, and you're willing to learn. You're willing to open that through and open up the mind's eye, but also too, you're following your intuition. It really comes to mind, and this is just my background with farming aspects, but when I look at farming, when I look at cultivation, when I look at the seeds that I plant, the seeds that I nurture along the way, plants really are drama queens when they are, and kings, but when they're unhappy, they let you know very, very clearly. This is about utilizing your intuitive aspects, being sensitive to those changes in what you're cultivating, what you're growing, so that you can really tell what it needs for nourishment, what to back off on. So say in the simple aspects, what really comes to the mind of agriculture is it has very little to do with the plant. The plant is the result. The soil is what you're really focusing on. The soil holds the wealth. The soil holds the nutrients, and it's following that intuition and nurturing wisely, nurturing with your resources, like I say as well, with really looking at your savings, looking at how you're utilizing your resources and utilizing them very wisely and efficiently. And so when you're looking at the soil, even though you may not know necessarily all the answers, you may not have the technical skill walking into what you're encountering along the way, this is where you're embracing that creativity and, most importantly, that intuition, back to back. Feeling is seeing in this case. And so same thing going back to the soil. If you look at soil and knowing, how do you know the soil is ready to cultivate, right? Well, the easiest thing to really say in that is the easiest way to put it is when you can take the soil, put it into a ball so that it's in the ball of the palm of your hand here, and just tap it. And if it breaks into smaller chunks, you know it's ready. It's not too moist, it's not too dry, and you know that based on it can clump together and hold its shape, right? So it's got the moisture. When you tap it, it's not necessarily solidified in that concrete saturation, so it's perfect for the aeration to really allow roots to cultivate, to grow, and to spread. That's when you really know. And then also too, the smell of it, the color of it. You can tell the minerals within it. You can also tell, like say for instance, if it's super red, you've got a lot of clay content. If it's super sandy, it's going to be dry. So you'll have to focus on what plants really marry with that. Those intuitions really allow you to adapt, but more importantly, to come into that place of the King of Pentacles, where you can really look at things pragmatically. You can be the provider for what's needed, and more importantly, focus on that stability as well as when it comes to material success. That's the intuition. That's that Virgo power that you're following at this point, predominantly when it comes to that fresh start. The seeds that you sow, flower, and nourish with love. This is where you're embracing that Virgoan energy. Now, I also see within the King of Pentacles that there's some financial management when it comes into play. We started with that, could have a lot to do with that too, because especially when we're looking at your root chakra, when we're looking at your stability. What I see in this is that if you're following your intuition, if you're embracing that emotion, feeling and looking and seeing at what needs to be nourished at this time, that reaches you towards that Ten of Cups. I don't know why I keep getting those mixed up here. But either way, with the Ten of Cups, this is the pinnacle of the success, but it's through that growth. It's through that repetition that leads to the mastery of your craft. And more importantly, opens you up to that passion, to that cooperation, and more importantly, to cherishing those relationships, as well as the choices that you make down the road as you encounter them. And again, it comes into the cooperation aspect. It comes into how you even look at the duality and finding those balances within the polarities. Both speak very much to the heart chakra as well. So when it comes into financial management, the heart chakra really speaks to knowing and having the faith, walking by faith and knowing that you are actively supported. This is what also cultivates that success and that Ten of Cups. Karma is on your side within this. And what Spirit is really saying as well within that, that not only are you reaching a good point where the wheel turns in your favor, there's good fortune destined for you, but the main thing is it's a turn for the better. What Spirit really wants you to know is that, especially when it comes against conflict, uncertainty, now is the time to be ambitious, cultivate that energy. Also, too, look at the communication that you're driving and lead forward. Lead the self with the assertiveness that comes to standing your ground, as well as allows you to come in and utilize that curiosity, to not be afraid of learning, but also, too, to be quick-witted about it within your ambition, within your communication. But it also speaks, more importantly, to going with the flow, not only with the Piscean energy, but also with that Aquarian energy, and then with the dreamer aspect with Neptune. And if that resonates, by all means, put a heart in the comments below, share your thoughts, because what I've gotten this message most is that the seeds that you sow, what you water with love grows. Now, Spirit, give us some additional messages here with the Witch's Tarot. Goodness, thank you. Ooh, okay. That's a lot. The cards are talking. So what first came out here is moving away from a place of calm into hardship and delays. So some of you could even be returning home. There could be a change of plans. That's where, in a lot of ways, the universal balance, Spirit is really saying that it's due to a financial opportunity. What was meant to end is meant to open up space for something even better. The wheel is turning in your favor, but it's also a universal balance that brings rewards. And it's going to challenge you. It's going to need you to really hone in on that inner strength, that self-empowerment, but also, too, to walk forward again with confidence, with courage, but also with love. And then, two, just looking at things here, we've got the Page of Wands as well as the King of Swords in reverse. So what I see in a lot of ways is that you could be walking away from something that's very much overbearing on you. Poor leadership, leadership that's really been walking through with arrogance as opposed to humility. But this is where it's like there's poor preparation for leadership roles due to the impulsivity then in how it's managed. You know, a lot of times is a decision isn't necessarily a bad one. How it's executed makes the discernment, makes the difference in whether it turns out to be a positive or a negative outcome. And if that resonates, by all means, put a heart, share your thoughts in the comments below, because what I'm seeing here is what you've been watching, what you've been enduring is manipulation, irrational and illogical, and lack of rationalization when it comes to an abuse of power. What I see, and like I say, is this is what you're kind of coming up against. You're moving into a place of hardships. But what we really pulled out here, I'm just going to lay all of these out, is it's a test, right? There could be materialism, violence, addictions even, or temptations just in general that are really pulling at your focus and testing your faith in a lot of ways and what seeds you are sowing at this time. Instead, what Spirit wants to encourage you is that really unity is strength, especially when it comes to coming up against conflicts, coming up against temptations, coming up against places where by walking alone, by carrying too much of a weight of baggage, you've been overwhelmed. There's stress, there's anxiety, but it's led to burnout. It's led to fear. It's led to feeling drained. This is where instead you're making better choices in who you're choosing to come together with, but more importantly, how you're also coming to the table. There's where changes are coming in, and they're going to be coming in fast, but they're going to be requiring you to not only look at opportunity with risk analysis, but also too to have the courage and bravery to take those leaps, to charge forward towards a new beginning and let go of whatever is going to try and constrain you in these harsher times. This is a new beginning that leads towards an opportunity, again, towards change, career opportunities, financial gain, but also too new skills. This is going to require possibly even changing roles, going into the shoes or stepping into the shoes of learning as a student, but it's going to require and lead you towards dedication that leads you towards mastery with whatever skill is needed from you at this time. Whatever seeds that you sow, love grows, right? So this is absolutely beautiful. It's going to be a challenge. Do not get me wrong. There is going to be a test of some harsher times, I guess is how I would put it. But again, just going back to the original message, this is about taking that wider lens view. looking at the planning strategically, not what's just right in front of you, but what's down the road. And it's about really keeping that endurance going, keeping that strength. Remember that you are training. This is a fitness challenge, and only the strongest endure. But it's, again, what you water, what you cultivate, what you plant brings your prosperity, brings your harvest. And it comes from all of the nurturing that you sow. It comes from the watering, the nurturing that you give to what grows, and letting the things that you don't nurture fade away. Now, Spirit, what additional messages do you have for us from our spirit animals? What additional wisdom can you help us with guiding us? Thank you. Oh my goodness. Okay. So right away, and at the bottom of the deck, we've got the white stag as the protector. So you're an old soul. More importantly, your intuition is what's key right now. Your intuition will take you where you want to go. This is also a time to take time out from the world, to disconnect and really go within. Honor the secrets and trust your knowing. This is also a time as well. Let's just take a peek at all this. Again, with the inner knowing, triple confirmation. Your intuition is going to be key with what seeds need to be sown at this time. But you're a brave traveler. Your soul knows the way. Now is the time when you come against hardships to be confident that you know where you're going. You will achieve your destination. Now is not the time to worry. Now is the time to know that you truly are blessed. Spirit walks with you. And raising your vibration is what's going to be most important as well during this time. If you're ever at a point where you're looking at faltering, afraid of faltering, or afraid of folly, this is the time to inhale confidence, exhale fear, and dive into the wisdom, because your soul knows the way, especially when it comes to going with the flow. And again, with the white stag, double confirmation here with the sea turtle, you are protected. You're a master of finding life's flow. Now is the time to be in harmony with the rhythm. The seeds that you plant, that you nurture, that you water, will grow. This is also where perseverance is needed. Now is not the time to give up. You will succeed. 1 foot at a time, your path will unfold. And like I say, you're protected at this time. And more importantly, you're also supernatural. You are the ancient wise sage. This is the time to also be adaptable. The dragon really speaks to shape-shifting, but it really speaks to, more importantly, mastering your destiny, rising with dignity, and adapting to change, not being afraid of change, but instead shape-shifting with it, alongside it, just as the new moon does, right? And if that resonates, by all means, share your thoughts, put a heart in the comments below, like, share, subscribe, because truly you guys are the reason that this channel is going as well. Each and every one of you, and I feel so blessed for it and to be on this journey with you. Now, before we go, I do just want to look at our major arcana. This is the time where I really feel like grounding yourself, getting in touch with those roots, getting in touch with that soil, fostering and nourishing the nutrients in that soil, adding amendments where needed, right? If it's too wet, add more sand so that it can get more aeration. If it needs nitrogen, plant clover. But anyway, I digress. So meditation is going to be so important for your grounding this week, or for this time, especially when you're looking at potentially moving into a place of hardship or challenges ahead. And so what we pulled here, music medicine wise, is the A sharp, the D, and the E. And so try playing around with those chord progressions, especially with getting back into grounding. Now, this also speaks quite a bit to your third eye, and then we've got 2 heart chakras. And so this is following your intuition, knowing that you're supported, and more importantly, opening that door and opening that space so that you can constantly see the world through a compassionate lens, no matter what hardships come into play. When things are meant to be divisive, bringing us together is what really is required to make us stronger. It's lifting up the weakest next to you to help us survive, right? Same thing as like what the science of trees do when it comes to communication. Fun fact and fun tangent, but what I find most remarkable about trees, particularly like species like redwoods, is that there's such a communication that not only talks within their root systems, but it works hand in hand with the microbiology when it comes to mushrooms and when it comes to the biology of them. But what happens really sweetly is that with redwoods, the ones that are closest to, say any body of water, for the ones that are farthest away and experiencing drought, they will actually take water and transfer it along their root system, along their communication system to the ones that need it the most. So that rather than letting, our human senses always teach us that the strongest of the, survival of the fittest, the strongest will survive. Instead, in the plant world, they lift everybody up so that even the weakest will survive. And by doing so, they open a door to not only a successional planning environment, but a cohesive planning environment. So where these guys are getting tons of moisture, these guys are enduring drought. Well, they've endured some good strengths. And more importantly, by balancing each other out, by drawing that water to the ones that need it the most, they're drawing these guys out so they can prosper, so that they're not too saturated, but also too, they're allowing the canopy to grow in places that are too dry, so that the soil eventually evens its way out and regulates its moisture. I'm just saying, it's incredible. I love it. It's like we feel like we're the smartest, most dominant species on the planet. And then you look at these other aspects that have succeeded without being destructive in different ways. And it's just amazing at the problem solving that no one does it better than Mother Nature. I'm just saying. And if that resonates, by all means, put a heart in the comments below. But color therapy wise, what I see in a lot of this is purples, oranges, and yellows. And so try embracing those colors as well during this time. It's very much about balance of the dualities, balance of the polarities, to bring you back to your center, and more importantly, to open that heart chakra and to listen, to really utilize that intuition and be sensitive to the signs, so that you can shepherd and steward and more importantly, nurture the seeds that you sow towards prosperity. And so I truly hope that this message helps. I am sending all my love and light to you. Please take care, and I will see you in the next reading.